What's going on, YouTube? I'm back with another daily investment update video as part of my $100,000 portfolio builder challenge. And guys, I'm taking things back to where everything started. Back on January 1st of 2024, I started investing $5 on every single trading day into Vanguard's VOO. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how that investment has been performing over the last 603 trading days. Over the last several months, we have seen the S&P 500 continue to climb. And as a matter of fact, we saw the S&P 500 hit record numbers today. I've seen reports that Wall Street believes that the S&P 500 will touch 8,000 or even 8,300 by the end of the year. So even with conflict in the Middle East going on, gas prices high as you know what, inflation and interest rates starting to creep in the wrong direction, and companies laying people off by the thousands. And after all that, we continue to see the S&P 500 take off and hit all-time highs. So every time I see this and every time I look at it, I'm like wondering, like, what's going on here? Is the rug gonna potentially be pulled at any given point in time? I don't know. It seems like it, right? But like I always say, we can't time the market, and it's often extremely unpredictable and it's often volatile. So we're just gonna continue our strategy, which is investing every day in this particular fund. Let's take a look at how my investment has been performing over the last 603 days. So right now, as you're taking a look at my investment in VOO, you see I have an open P&L of $816.40, and I'm up 26.71%. So almost 27% in my investment over the last 603 days. And I think that's phenomenal. Investing $5 on every single trading day, in my opinion, you can't beat that, right? So on the day, I am down $2.30 or 0.06%. So after 603 days, we have a total market value, $3,872.36. And we built that all by investing just $5 on every single trading day. All right, so let's take a look at the 52-week high and the 52-week low on VOO. I always like to take a look at the delta on how this has been trading over the past rolling 12-month period. So if we take a look here in the middle column here, we have a 52-week high, 691.51. And then if you take a look at the top left, you see we closed on the day at 689.96. So we're right up near that 52-week high. Now, I often get people that will leave comments or ask me questions. Should we be investing at or near all-time highs? And my response is always the same. Look, I'm staying consistent with my investing, and sometimes I'm going to invest near the 52-week high. And then, of course, if we take a look at the 52-week low of 529.81, and sometimes we're going to be investing near the 52-week low. I have my investment set up to automatically go in every single day in Webull to make my purchase. So I honestly don't even go into this portfolio unless I'm giving you guys an update on one of my investments or my overall portfolio. It's really just on invest and chill mode in this particular portfolio. All right, let's take a quick look at the VOO yearly candlestick chart. So right now, what you're seeing here is you're seeing steady movement upwards in this particular fund. This is a very steep moving candlestick pattern here. And every time I see these, I'm always a little concerned. Whenever I see candlesticks moving in this particular fashion, I'm always thinking that there's going to be some type of sell-off or there's going to be some type of correction. But we haven't been getting that in the S&P 500. We've just continued to move up. And if we hit 8,000 by the end of the year in the S&P 500, there's going to be people that have made a lot of money by investing in funds like VOO and SPY. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the top 15 holdings in VOO. And then, of course, we'll take a look at 3 of the top moving companies since the beginning of the year that's been helping to drive that momentum that you saw on the chart just a minute ago. So as you can see, NVIDIA at the top, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Broadcom, Alphabet, A class and C class, Meta, Tesla, Berkshire. So all of the behemoths, the blue chips that most people have heard of are in this particular fund, right? It's the top 500 companies in the United States. So you're going to be investing in a percentage of the top 500 companies in this fund. Now let's take a look at some of the drivers of VOO since the beginning of the year. And the very first company that we're going to take a look at here is SanDisk. Now, if you look at this candlestick chart, you'll see this is an aggressive move up, especially over the past month. If you've invested any money in SanDisk, you're extremely happy with how that investment has been performing. And we have a 52-week high there of $1,658, which is insane. The next company we'll take a look at is Intel. There's been a lot of talk and conversation around this particular company. About a year ago, we were trading at $17.67, and we just hit a 52-week high earlier in the month of $132.75. And as you can see, it's a similar candlestick that we saw for SanDisk on the monthly and VOO on the yearly chart. So a lot of people have been investing in Intel, and it's made them a lot of money, especially if they started investing about a year ago. All right, and then the last company we'll take a look that's been helping to drive the growth in VOO is Micron. This company has been hitting out of the park. They've been crushing earnings. Their valuations are out of this world. They've just crossed $1 trillion valuation as a company. And as you can see on this candlestick chart, they are shooting upwards rapidly. So if we take a look at these three particular stocks, it's easy to see why the S&P 500 is continuing to hit all-time highs. And we didn't even mention companies like Apple that's been surging, Google that's been surging, and of course Nvidia has been hanging out there too. They just reported earnings a couple of weeks ago and they hit it out of the park as well. I'll quickly touch on dividends received over the last 603 days in this investment. I've received a total of $47.59, and just like all of the other investments in this portfolio, as well as my other portfolios, all of my dividends are simply just reinvested back into my position. So not a lot by way of dividends, but hey, every little bit that gets added to my position, I'll absolutely take it. All right, so let's touch on the topic of expense ratios and the cost associated with investing in VOO. Now, of course, you buy into the particular fund, but there are some people out there that may not be aware that there's a fee that Vanguard charges you to manage your investment. And it's just not a Vanguard thing, right? So if you invest in QQQ or SPY or SCHD or SMH, whatever it is, there is a fee that particular company charges to manage your particular investment. And Vanguard has some of the lowest fees out there. So for example, if you had $10,000 invested in VOO, it would cost you a total of $3 for the year for Vanguard to manage your investment. They charge you typically by each $1,000 that you're investing. So it would be 0.03%. Multiply that by 1,000. And of course, if we have $10,000 invested, then of course that cost would be multiplied by 10. And the reason that this is important is because I've seen some funds out there that charge as much as 1% to manage your investment. So we take that same $10,000 that was invested in VOO, and this new fund to manage that same $10,000 will cost you $100. Now that may not seem like a lot of money, but imagine that you have $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 in a particular fund, and that compounds year after year after year after year. And over the course of 20 or 30 years, that can equate to tens of thousands of dollars that you've paid in unnecessary fees. I'll leave a link to an ETF database that I typically use to conduct my research when I'm taking a look at new funds down in the description below. So if you want to go in there and you can check that out, it shows you the top 15 holdings. It'll also show you what is the cost associated with investing in a particular fund. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at what it's costing you to invest in your favorite ETFs and index funds, make sure that you check that out in the description below. All right, so let's take a look at some of the comments that you guys left on my last update video. When we talk about $5 a day, are you literally having $5 auto withdrawal towards the fractional shares? Absolutely. Yeah, so I have it set up in my Webull account to go in on every single trading day. So that's Monday through Friday, excluding weekends and holidays. And it'll go in around 1:30 or 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll purchase $5 worth of VOO on every single trading day. And I don't have to do anything because I've set my bank account to automatically transfer a certain amount of money into my Webull account every time that I get paid. So I'm really only going into this particular portfolio as I'm filming these videos for you guys. And then the next question here, this is quickly becoming my favorite ETF. My portfolio is looking great with it. Look, VOO is my favorite ETF to invest in. I also really like VGT and SMH and SCHD, but when it comes to investing, I like sticking with the S&P 500. That's my bread and butter, and that's what I have most of my money invested in. Next comment here, we went a different direction in buying gold and silver and copper ETFs daily since November 2024, and I have more faith in raw metals versus the US dollar. Look, whenever I started this investment challenge, it was never meant to try to persuade you to invest in what I'm investing in. My main goal was to get you off the sidelines into the game and investing in something that works out for you. So shout out to you for finding an investment that works for your particular needs. And if you're watching this video, drop me a comment. Let me know how that investment has been going. I know gold's been going crazy, so I would imagine your portfolio is seeing some nice gains over the past several months. And then the last comment here, I started with a Roth. I have VTI, VEA, and testing out BKIE. I haven't heard of BKIE before. You guys are definitely giving me my homework in some of these comments. You're telling me what some of your favorite ETFs and index funds are to invest in, and I always like to go in and research those and check those out. So shout out to you on that. Are you still continuing to invest in a Roth as well as a brokerage? What's your investment strategy? Leave me a comment down below and let me know. So guys, that is my 603 daily investment update video into VOO. And just like VGT, my investment has been exploding from a percentage perspective, and I'm extremely happy with where it's headed. So if you haven't started investing and you're looking to jump into this challenge, we started a brand new $5 a day investment challenge in January of 2026. And the investment that I chose for that is Vanguard's VTI. So if you haven't had a chance to jump into the challenge, it's never too late to get started with investing.